Everybody, we are going to work with properties of numbers today. So our job today is to get those property of numbers defined using those vocabulary boxes glued into the back of your math notebook that you just did at the beginning of the hour, or maybe just right now. And then eventually we're going to work on applying those properties, which you've already been doing. It's just kind of now hopefully the term associative, commutative, and distributive will just be more in the forefront of your mind than maybe tucked really far away. Also, just reminding you that we're working with expressions that may have more than one operation or grouping symbols, and so the order of operations always comes into play if that is the case. So with that said, find the identity property vocabulary box. You're going to be filling in 4 parts to these vocabulary boxes: words, numbers, algebra, and a drawing or a way to remember it. This one is done for you. So the identity property is when 0 is added or 1 is multiplied to any number, the answer is the number. So go ahead and look at the example using numbers. 5 plus 0, that gives you 5. 1 times 3, that gives you 3. Look at the example using algebra. You have to have 0 in the expression, but then putting a variable where you could really put any number. So 0 plus a is going to equal a. B times 1, you got to have 1 in the expression if it's the identity property. Well, that's going to equal b, and you could drop any value in for b and it would be true. A drawing or a way to remember this property, I'm a huge fan of the mirror because I think about, like, when I look in the mirror I see me. So it's like when 5 looks in the mirror and it's being added to 0, like 0 is the mirror, the plus 0 is the mirror, it's going to see 5. When 3 looks in the mirror is 1 times, it's going to see 3. So identity is just a way to remind you that these numbers are going to be seeing themselves. So the answer is going to be the number. Or a license, because it has your picture on it, is another way to remember the identity property, that whenever you're adding 0, you're going to get the number, and whenever you're multiplying by 1, you're going to get whatever number you're multiplying by 1. So with that said, let's go and let's find the commutative property. This one, you don't have anything filled in yet. I would like to provide you with the words, the numbers, and the algebra piece. So right now, commutative property is, it says it doesn't matter the order that you add, and it can be 2 or more numbers. The sum is going to be the same. It doesn't matter the order that you multiply, and it can be 2 or more numbers. You're going to get the same product. Okay? So go ahead and pause here and write that down. An example with numbers using the addition, 3 plus 6, that's the same as 6 plus 3. Notice 3 and 6 just change spots, but the sum is 9. Looking at multiplication, 4 times 2, that's going to give you the same product as 2 times 4. Notice those factors have changed spots in the expression, but the product is the same. Looking at it with algebra, we're just dropping variables into the expressions now. So we have a plus b, well, that's going to give you the same sum as b plus a. A times b, that's going to give you the same product as b times a. Go ahead and pause here and fill in the numbers and algebra example. Next, whenever it comes to the drawing or a way to remember these properties, I'm going to give you a video, and hopefully the video will just kind of inspire or give you a little bit more information on what these properties are. So with that said, let's watch part of this video together and be thinking of a way that you could draw or a way to just represent the commutative.
We're going to discuss the commutative property of addition. The commutative property of addition says that you can add 2 or more numbers and get the same sum. It's like when you commute to work and home. You get the same amount of miles to and from. So let's look at this. 3 plus 4 is equal to 4 plus 3. That's the commutative property. By changing the order of the numbers, they still equal the same thing. 3 plus 4 equals 7, and 4 plus 3 equals 7. So let's look at our commute. Here's your home, and here's a coffee house that you're going to stop at to grab a cup of coffee, and here's your work. You go from your home 3 miles to the coffee house. You get your coffee, then you go 4 more miles to work. That's 7 miles total. Well, when you're done at the end of the day, you go 4 miles to the coffee house, grab another cup of coffee, and then go 3 miles home. It's still 7 miles. It doesn't matter if you're going to or from 3 plus 4 or 4 plus 3. it's still going to be the same amount. Think of commuting to school or work and back. That's the commutative property. Look at this one. You can have more than just two numbers. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 3 plus 2. They don't even have to be in the same order, do they? 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6, and 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6.
So with that said, a way to represent the commutative property is to maybe focus on that root commute, which is traveling, right? So her example was you can travel from home to the coffee house to work, 7 miles, and then from work to the coffee house back home, it's still 7 miles, right? Adding those miles together, it doesn't change the sum if I'm going to work or I'm coming from work home. So go ahead and either you can use this drawing that she had and I have in front of you here, or you can come up with your own that you would like that would represent the commutative property. What I want you to do though is just pause for a moment because I'd like to show you how you're going to continue this on your own. So with that said, after you draw a representation of the commutative property, I would like for you to go to Schoology, your Math Schoology page. And when you're there, I'd like you to find our Unit 6 folder. Click in there, and you will now see a property of numbers folder open, and this is the lesson that you're working on today. So assignment, property of numbers, vocabulary, it's going to be due tomorrow. And here are the directions, and some of them you've already done, but I'm going to read through them anyway. You will need the vocabulary boxes. They are attached below, so if you were absent today, you would be able to get them. You're going to glue those vocabulary boxes next to the next clean page behind our Unit 6 scale, which we already talked about, or you already did. You're going to use the slides below to help you fill in 3 parts of each vocabulary box. So identity was done for you. We worked on commutative, but now you have associative and distributive. So you're going to use this slideshow to fill in the 3 boxes on each one of those. Okay? The next bullet right here says to complete the 4th part of each vocabulary box, which is the drawing. You're going to watch the 3 videos that are linked below. Use the videos to create a picture for each property. And so I modeled that with the commutative one here. So here's the associative video. Here's the distributive property video. And after watching those, remember, hopefully they inspire you or maybe literally provide you with a representation or a drawing. Lastly, the last bullet here says when your vocabulary boxes are complete, you're going to work on 6th grade IXL Y9 and then Y10, and your goal is to get to 80 on them. This vocabulary assignment will be due tomorrow, and yes, that includes those IXLs to the best of your ability. Okay? Awesome. Go ahead and finish up the rest of the time on your own.